So, Steph, the Bengals were on the clock, pick 5 overall, and we knew they had two options, right? Do they go with their head and take Penei Sewell, the left tackle that's going to protect Joe Burrow? Or do they go with their heart and take Jamar Chase, Burrow's college teammate at LSU, who just dominated with them? And of course, they went with Jamar Chase. Now, whether it was the right or wrong choice, I'll let you decide. The listeners.
There's clear reasons why they should not have, and as a GM, I would not have.
No.
But this is where we're at.
That's the thing. I think it was the wrong choice, but I'm not mad because now they made the fun pick, and us, looking at this team, looking at the NFL, looking at even fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football, now we get to talk about it, so I'll take it. I mean, Chase, to me, with Joe Burrow in this emerging Cincinnati Bengals offense, has the potential and the upside to be a top 5 NFL wide receiver. He's a fantastic prospect. He's got the tape. He's got the measurables. He's got the production. And now he gets the draft capital. He gets to go to an emerging offense with an emerging quarterback. But not only is it just any emerging offense, any emerging quarterback, it's Joe Burrow, his college teammate, who he already has rapport with. So I'm hyped for Jamar Chase. Steph, what's your initial reaction to this pick, man?
I think the Bengals did have a process. I think they did. I think the process was, look, we're going to bet on an elite talent and look at the deeper offensive line class, knowing that we can probably get some guys. I know they did draft some guys later on in the draft at the offensive line position. They did make some free agent signings. They were meh, to say the least. But if Jamar Chase was the best player available in their eyes, I understand the pick. But for Jamar Chase and his fantasy outlook, it's amazing. And I know some are worried about the volume, but there's a ton to go around in this offense. Just last season, we had Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and A.J. Green all over 100 targets. Joe Burrow was on pace to be second in the league in pass attempts behind Big Ben. He was at 40 attempts per game.
Oh.
And regardless of game script, they were always passing the ball. Like winning game script, losing game script, tie game, they passed the ball in neutral game scripts more than any other team in the NFL last year. And regardless, this team's mostly losing anyways, which is great for this offense, which is shaping up to be a Dallas Cowboys light with a strong 3-down running back with Joe Mixon and 3 really good receivers. Except in Cincinnati, there's no tight end presence. And Chase enters a situation with the Bengals where there's 194 vacated targets between A.J. Green, Giovanni Bernard, and John Ross. So Chase steps into a role in year 1 where he can see the Justin Jefferson 125 targets. Like that's no joke. I think he's going to be looked to in the red zone. Joe Burrow, we loved him coming into the NFL because he was the only college quarterback to ever have a better passer rating while under pressure. That wasn't all just Joe Burrow. That's Jamar Chase knowing where to be. That's why the guy had 111 targets, over 1,700 yards, and 20 freaking touchdowns in the SEC in 2019.
Oh, that's great.
You can't ask for a better situation here, man. You really can't if you like Jamar Chase.
I'm so excited about this pick. And yes, you mentioned the offensive line. No, none of these guys are Penei Sewell, but I did want to go ahead and follow up on that point you made because they signed Riley Reif, offensive tackle in free agency. Not lighting the world on fire, but he's, a replacement level veteran. And then in the draft, they did take Jackson Carman, tackle out of Clemson in round 2. They took another offensive tackle in round 4. So they did do some things to address the O-line. Jonah Williams should be healthy going into next season. I know we've been saying that for several years now. But as bad as the line was last season, they at least did a couple things to try to make it a little bit better. So it can't be any worse than last year. And yeah, Joe Burrow, I mean, if he's not laying on his back, he's going to have all sorts of fun out there. Jamar Chase, to me, is a lock for 100 targets this season. You mentioned the vacated targets. A.J. Green himself had 104 targets last season. If Jamar Chase just slides in to the shell of A.J. Green role from 2020, he's easily going to be over those 100 targets. Plus, you get the 17-game season. Plus, you get Joe Burrow, hopefully, for a full 17. Jamar Chase, to me, is going to go over 1,000 yards this year. He's going to be the alpha wide receiver 1 in this offense. And I still like T. Higgins a lot. I still like Tyler Boyd a lot. If we're talking about, their production this year, I think they're going to be phenomenal. But to me, it's a no-brainer that Jamar Chase, even as a rookie, is going to come in and be that 1A on this offense. And this team really is starting to build what could be the best wide receiver trio in the entire NFL. You think about Dallas, you think about Pittsburgh, you think about Tampa, three other teams that have a really good trio of wide receivers. I think the Bengals have entered the conversation. They have entered the chat. Ask me in 2 years who the best wide receiver trio in the league is, and I think we're going to be saying the Cincinnati Bengals. So to me, Chase is by far the wide receiver 1 in this class. He's my wide receiver 1 in Dynasty rookie rankings. He's my number 7 overall player in Superflex leagues in Dynasty. And I'd be hyped to have Jamar Chase if I was Joe Burrow, and I'd also be hyped to have Jamar Chase on my Dynasty roster.
I have him a little bit higher than you at the 105 after the first 3 quarterbacks, the big 2 running backs go. Then it's Chase for me.
How big is this for Joe Burrow, Steph?
I think it's significant, but I think the momentum was already in full swing for Joe Burrow anyways, and I'm seeing some pretty ridiculous draft slots where he's going right now. I'm seeing him go early, mid-second in some of these startup draft boards, which is crazy. I wouldn't have him that high, but wow. The train is moving. The Joey Burrows train has left the station. And though I have cooled off on both Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, I don't think this hurts one more than the other. A lot of people are saying, oh, now Boyd becomes just, a tertiary option. It's just going to be T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and Boyd's just going to be kind of left for dead. I don't think that's going to be the case because Boyd was actually the one for the first half of last year. He's still only 26 years old. But both of these guys will take some damage because Chase is going to, once he gets fully acclimated to the offense, it may take more than just the first season, but once he is fully ingrained in Cincinnati, he's going to be the one on this team. Interesting stat for you here, though, Alex. Of 31 wide receivers taken in the first round, only 2 of them have been wide receiver 1s in their first year. And that's Justin Jefferson and Odell Beckham. But 26% of them have been wide receiver 3s or better. Expect Chase to get there, but not right away, which is why I do have Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Justin Fields all over him because those guys are in positions where they are going to get the full opportunity, the full snap share if they do see the field. But Chase is a cornerstone dynasty asset. This is a guy that you can build a roster around if you're in a rebuild. So let's just hope that the Bengals O-line can keep Joe Burrow upright because if he has time, Jamar Chase is going to be a guy that we're talking about as a top 5 dynasty wide receiver in a year.
100%, man. And I agree with you. Like, you can't expect Chase to come out and be a top 12 guy year one. We got a little spoiled by Justin Jefferson last season, and I hope people aren't setting their expectation there with a guy like Jamar Chase. But I think he is going to be effective. I think he'll be a top 30 wide receiver this year. Wouldn't surprise me if he cracked the top 24. And I also love what you said about Higgins and Boyd. I think both do take a hit. It takes some off the top. But just to reiterate, I think both are going to be values. And I know a lot of people right now are really trying to say, hey, go buy low on T. Higgins because he's still going to be fine. But Tyler Boyd, it seems like, is just left for dead. I think Tyler Boyd, I agree with you. I think Tyler Boyd still can be a very good asset, a wide receiver 2, a flex type guy that's going to help your roster that you could get way cheaper than T. Higgins. And you think about this, Steph, last season, we've seen teams support 3 fantasy football wide receivers. Last year, the Carolina Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater and 550 pass attempts had 3 top 25 PPR wide receivers. Burrow was on pace for 650 pass attempts. So that's an additional 100 targets available for these Bengals wide receivers. So we saw it from Carolina, which was a shock. We also saw it from Pittsburgh. They had 3 guys inside of the top 23 in terms of PPR points for the full 2020 season. So we definitely can see these teams with 3 valuable wide receivers, especially ones without a tight end presence like the Carolina Panthers had last season. So I think it's wheels up for all these guys. I mean, to me, it's obviously Jamar Chase. He's going to be the one taking all the hype right now. But I think Higgins and Boyd are definitely sneaky values as well.